Have you noticed it? Those for lease signs that just seem to be popping up everywhere in our city centers? Or how the once bustling office blocks feel, well, kind of quiet, even in the middle of the week? Yeah, something big is happening in our cities. And it's way more than just a simple economic downturn. So today, let's unpack what's really going on. I mean, it's a question a lot of us are asking, right? You walk through a downtown area that you remember being packed, and now it just feels different. This isn't just a feeling, though. It's a reality that's backed up by some pretty stark numbers. Okay, so take a look at this chart. Now, this is data from Germany, but honestly, it tells a story that's happening all over the world. Back in 2019, before everything changed, the office vacancy rate was a pretty healthy 3%. Fast forward to 2024, and it's nearly doubled. And the forecast for next year? It's climbing even higher. This is not a temporary blip, folks. This is a real, sustained increase in empty space. So what is really driving all of this? The thing we have to get our heads around is that this isn't just some temporary problem that's going to fix itself. No, what we're witnessing is a true, massive structural change in how our cities actually work. And this is the key point. We have to separate this from a typical recession. This is not some cyclical dip that we're just going to bounce back from. It's a fundamental break from the past. You know, the way we work, the way we shop, the way we live, it has all been permanently altered. And our buildings are really struggling to keep up. A recent market report from DZHYP, a German real estate bank, puts it perfectly. The old rules, they just don't apply anymore. We can't just sit around and wait for the economy to recover and expect all these offices to magically fill up again. The game has changed permanently. So who is right in the middle of all this chaos? Well, it's the real estate managers. They're the ones on the front lines trying to navigate this completely new reality and figure out what the future holds for these massive, incredibly valuable buildings. You know, the German term for this, Immobilien management, is actually really useful because it gets at this truly holistic approach. This isn't just about collecting rent checks. It's about managing a building through its entire life cycle, from the day it's designed to the day it's torn down, all while focusing on sustainability and long-term value. A good way to think about it is that these managers are wearing 3 different hats at all times. They've got the commercial hat on, dealing with leases and the books. Then there's the technical hat, making sure the building itself is sound. You know, the elevators are running, the roof isn't leaking. And finally, the infrastructural hat, managing everything from security guards to the cleaning crew. Juggling all of that in this market, well, that's the real challenge. All right, so let's dig into the 2 massive forces that are causing all this disruption. Think of them as the twin engines of change that are turning the entire real estate world completely upside down. This is basically a battle on 2 fronts. On one side, you have the office market, which is being totally reshaped by hybrid and remote work. And at the exact same time, the retail market is still trying to figure out how to survive the relentless rise of e-commerce. Both are these huge, powerful shifts, and they're hitting all at once. I mean, just let this number sink in for a second. In the US, office buildings are still only about 50% full compared to before the pandemic. And despite all the return to the office headlines, this really seems to be the new normal. We just don't need as much office space as we used to. Okay, but here is where the story gets really weird. You would think with all this empty space, rents would be crashing, right? Well, not exactly. For the absolute best, highest quality buildings, what the industry calls prime real estate, rents are actually going up. And yet, at the very same time, the overall vacancy rate in those exact same cities has more than doubled. So, how can both of these things be true? How can rents be going up while more and more offices are sitting empty? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It's not one market anymore. It's 2. We're seeing this massive flight to quality. Companies are downsizing, sure, but they're using the money they save to move into smaller but much, much better spaces. They want modern, energy-efficient buildings that meet today's ESG standards. That's environmental, social, and governance. They need a place that's actually nice enough to convince their employees to come back to the office. And all that means that the older, more outdated buildings, they're the ones being left behind. So, faced with this completely split market, property managers are basically throwing out the old playbook. They have to. They're coming up with brand new strategies to survive, and in some cases, even thrive in this new world. This new playbook is all about getting creative. For some, it means just focusing on those top-tier green buildings that are in high demand. For others, it means taking an old, obsolete office tower and asking, hey, could this be apartments? Or maybe a hotel, a school? It means turning empty department stores into new hubs with a mix of everything. And for some, it means investing in managed to green strategies. Basically, upgrading older buildings to meet today's standards. This right here, this is the prime market in action. These are the kinds of buildings that are winning in this new economy. They're energy efficient, they're modern, they're in the perfect location. This is what companies are willing to pay a premium for, and it's where all the new investment is going. And this really is the ultimate goal. The vision isn't just about filling a few empty buildings. It's about totally remaking entire districts of our cities. The big idea is to create these vibrant, mixed-use communities where people can live, work, and play, all within a short walk or bike ride. So what does all of this add up to for the city of tomorrow? Well, we're actually seeing the blueprint for a very different kind of city being drawn up right now, born directly out of this crisis. This really captures the whole shift perfectly. We're moving away from that old model of separate, siloed districts. The financial center over here, the shopping area over there. The future is all about blending those functions into flexible, multi-use neighborhoods that are alive and buzzing 24/7. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. The era of the sterile 9-to-5 business district that completely empties out at night, that era is over. The future of our cities is all about creating adaptable, resilient, 24/7 destinations that actually serve all the needs of the people who live and work there. This transformation is happening right now in all of our cities. And yeah, it's a huge challenge, but it's also this incredible opportunity to rebuild our cities into better places. Which really leaves us with one final big question. How should your city adapt to this new reality?